move this attic.
7 o'clock, call the meeting to order for the Wheaton Town Board for Tuesday, August 13th. Rise and say pledge of allegiance, a moment of silence for personnel. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Careful there, bud. That's me.
Laura Hayden, Bud Beckwith,
Roll call, bud. Oh, here.
Wayne Miller,
Yep.
Alice Drosky,
Here.
Ken Books,
Here.
Mark Laskowski.
Here. Approval of the agenda.
I make a motion, we approve the Tuesday, August 13th, 2019 agenda.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carried. Clerk's report, previous meeting minutes, and that should have been July. When was caught that?
I just got it now.
It was like July 12th or 9th.
July 9th.
Check register's gone through already. Any comments on the meeting minutes? If not, here a motion to approve.
Make a motion, we approve the minutes.
I second it.
Motion made and seconded to approve the meeting minutes. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carried. Public comments. Any comments? Roger, did you have anything about that? No?
Well, I called Johnson Disposal today. He's gonna come out tomorrow afternoon around 2:30, 3 o'clock. Because Advance is gonna be bought out by Waste Management in the future. And I know Waste Management is higher than Advance, so we'll see where this guy goes and what he can do for us. I'll bring that back to him when I get some figures.
And which company is that, Roger?
What?
Which company is that with?
Johnson and Chippewa Falls.
Okay, how about Box Company too?
Last time I talked to him, he said he couldn't do us because he wasn't licensed for that. But that was maybe a year ago I called him.
Okay.
And then I said who I was with, I said, we're with Advance, but I'm looking at Waste Management. He said, stay with who you got. It's
Okay.
Okay, so we'll put that on next meeting.
Okay.
So just get what you have for that, and we'll find out what, if there's any changes from Advance. And see what we need to do. Okay, anything else? All right, moving on to committee reports. Treasurer's report. We've got stuff in front of us. If there's any questions on any of it?
Did you want to go through the budget, Mark, or
No, but we will begin next month. We'll start working on that. So I just want to be able to see that. So if anybody's got any questions on this budget right now. $890. That must have been for. Did that go up?
which one?
Association must have went up, huh? questions on any of it? Public Works, here we go. What's the total for Public Works, Scott? Oh, back here, there we go. Okay, yeah, so the chip seal and all that stuff, coming in here pretty quick.
We've only paid for the fill and the pulverizing at this point for road work.
That's been paid for?
Yes.
Okay. Bill. Culverts.
I've got the bill for the culverts. Lenny's gonna confirm what we got, make sure that matches the bill.
Okay.
And then that bridge decking, that bridge ceiling invoice we've got yet to pay.
Okay. Looks like we're where we ought to be. Any questions? If not, we'll file a report with the clerk. Fire board report.
Fire board. We met on July 22nd in Howard, and they voted on, discussed and acted on some COPs and division of compensation and fire division comp, and those were okay. And then they got to transfers, and let's see, about combining the budgets, and we said no. Us and Howard voted no on that, and we voted no, that they shouldn't be doing transfers. We're gonna be discussing that this next, this meeting this month, next week, about that. I told them I wanted it on the agenda, and to set a set amount of miles, like 100 or whatever, and from what I'm understanding from other EMS services around, they don't go more than 30 miles. And so they did put it on the agenda. I just got that this afternoon before I left. And then the other thing I wanted on there was discuss if we did decide to change EMS services, if we could still stay in the fire district. And so that's on the agenda too, but I think we probably know how that's going to turn out. Not for sure, but pretty much. And that's they're going to be acting on the fire budget. They got a preliminary for 2020. They did vote and they did pass. The three of them voted to combine the two budgets together, which we were not for, us or Howard, but we got outvoted on that. And so the proposed budget is for the two of them together.
They sent you a proposed budget?
Yeah, today. I just got it before I left. I should have probably brought
And
it
it's
with me.
together?
Pardon?
And it's together?
Well, I think they got it broke down, but at the end, it's all together, you know. I just glanced at it real quick, Mark. I didn't have time to read it. You know, they had it broke down for trucks and equipment and stuff like that, but
So they had lines, but it's all in one. EMS and fire is all one.
I believe that's the way it was tallied up at the end, yeah. So,
Real interesting. Sounds like there's gonna be some lawyers involved in that.
probably. There probably should be. So, I can give you a copy of that if you want. I'll copy it and drop it off for you.
Okay,
And that's about it, unless anybody else can add to it. They did show up with one of the units, because some guys had some troubles with one of the cots, getting it in and out, and of course, they made it off that it was a human error, not anything wrong with the equipment, you know. And, which it was explained to me, it was the equipment, not the human error part of it. So, and they did it on flat ground, not on angled pitch driveway like it happened on. And as far as getting the cot unhooked, getting it out of the ambulance,
yeah,
so.
okay.
Other than that, that's about it for right now.
See, when they voted on something, I'm not sure what they were voting on, if they were reiterating this,
It's just where it was highlighted.
burning regulations.
Yeah,
Okay, so they they added that, what was highlighted,
right.
is that what,
That's the way I understood it.
so they're going to, this is interesting, because they're going to have closed burning made, and not that it matters to the town of Wheaton, but it's interesting that one of their methods for announcements is on a website. I'm pretty sure the law says they're gonna post it in 5 places. It has to be posted in 5 locations.
The Lafayette,
So posting it on a website doesn't mean anything. That's interesting. I guess I don't even know what they're talking about there. But anyway, if they start, so everybody in Wheaton, if you hear anybody, we do not have an ordinance. It was brought up before the board several different times. The board's always voted to not have the ordinance, and you can burn however you want to. It's got, the fire district has absolutely, fire department has nothing to say about it, because the township has not passed an ordinance, and this is, now, Town of Howard and the rest of them all passed an ordinance to agree to this, but we never did, and, you know, you can't burn illegal stuff. DNR says what's legal to burn and what isn't, but you don't have to, if you don't wanna burn on a Sunday in Wheaton, have at it. If it gets away, you're gonna pay for it. Make sure you don't let it get away. But,
and when they did vote on that, I did vote for it because I wasn't aware of the other.
but yeah,
But
that's not gonna affect.
Lafayette,
that's not gonna
Lafayette is gonna take and require, if you do have in the residential, what's considered residential, you can't have burning barrel. What's considered rural over there, you can, or agricultural. But it's gotta be inspected, and you gotta pay a $10 or $15 inspection fee to have the burning barrel inspected. Just crazy,
So,
so.
yeah, have at it, boys, but Town of Wheaton hasn't, the board certainly has not approved anything like that, and that's not by extension, they can't just extend that into the town of Wheaton until we agreed to it, and we've never, you know, the board has to agree to that, we have to make an ordinance. And the other townships have them. They convinced the other ones, and I know for a fact that the town of Howard passed it, and then after the town of Howard passed it, they went, there's several people, including board members, that went, why did we do that? This is ridiculous. So, they were wanting to, and they haven't rescinded it, they should just take all they have to do is take their ordinance off the books, and, you know, rescind the ordinance, and
Be
it
done
doesn't
with it.
apply anymore, but so far, they've just been going on with it, so anyway. That's, just so everybody knows, that doesn't apply to Wheaton.
Okay.
Alrighty, planning commission report.
The planning commission met on August 6th, 2019. All the members were present. Our new business was Mr. William Nelson on 67th Avenue. Came before us with 3 6.5 acre parcels. Pat Kelly, the realtor for Bill Nelson, and Bill Nelson were in attendance and spoke of their desire to create 3 6.5 area parcels on property owned by Nelson. Mr. Kelly presented 6 different options to the Wheaton Planning Commission on how the property would be divided into 2 or 3 parcels. Discussion was held between the Wheaton Planning Commission and Kelly Nelson regarding the application of town's Chapter 11 subdivision ordinance to their request. Motion was made to approve option 6, which creates lots 1 and 2 of the CSM for Nelson to proceed with the sale. The motion passed 5-2. Bob Schwartzky from CBS Squared was there to discuss the Ryan Stelter property near the Chippewa Falls Middle School. It's a 15-acre parcel with some other parcel sites. Mr. Schwartzky spoke to the Wheaton Planning Commission of his opinion that there are areas in Wheaton that would fall outside the township's 5-acre minimum lot size requirement. The 15-acre parcel owned by Mr. Stelter would be divided into some smaller lots as it bordered by Highway 53 to the west and Chippewa Falls residential neighborhood to the east and to the north. Wheaton Planning Commission didn't take any action on this because it was for discussion only. We're also going to begin looking at a worksheet for public attendees who come before the Wheaton Planning Commission for variances, conditional use permits, and rezones. Our old business was further discussion of the Wheaton comp plan. Patrick Balfus from Cedar Corp was there, and we reviewed the draft of the public survey. And that was, then we adjourned the meeting at 9:32 p.m.
Any questions or comments? Moving on, report to the committee can investigate pros and cons of having Wheaton Fire Department.
Skip one.
So you've got, is that?
You skipped one.
Parks.
Parks.
And parks
Skip
come
parks.
first.
Town parks. Sorry.
You guys like to hear me talk.
Our July meeting was on July 16th, 7 o'clock at the Wheaton Fire Station. Jenny Schutte, Brian Garrett, Dora Wood, and myself were present. Old business, we continue to work on the boat landing projects. Working on getting additional concrete bids for the ramp portion. And then the other item was our park security piece. So we're reviewing basically our final pieces of that. New business, we worked on some more of the improvement items in the park, and we got a couple of them on the agenda here tonight. We also discussed the town property firewood and had pretty good discussion on some options for that. So this next month we'll be looking at a draft of that policy. And then we went through our nomination and of park commission officers per our Parks Commission bylaws, which happens on an annual basis in July. So I'll continue to serve as the Parks Commission chair. Jenny Schutte will serve as the vice chair, and Dora Wood will serve as the secretary treasurer. And then we reviewed our park rental fees for the 2020 season and have decided to keep those the same as what they currently are, as well as the deposits. And then the last piece, the Wheaton Ball League extended a thank you to the Parks Commission for their efforts down in the park on the improvement items. Certainly a lot of positive feedback.
Okay. We will have some items to discuss here later.
Yep.
Okay, now committee to investigate.
Okay. Since the last board meeting, we met twice on July 25th and last Thursday on August 8th. We've been meeting every 2 weeks since this has started back in May. And I had contacted the chiefs, I talked to ISO. We've had the insurance company come in, our insurance company from the township here, come in and talk to us. I have talked to the chief, the one chief in Chippewa just retired. In fact, the new chief, Lee Douglas, was aware of it and been working with them. And he talked to the mayor, and they would be interested in sitting down talking to us and about coverage. And they want to know exactly where we want to be covered. Same thing with Eau Claire this last Thursday night meeting. I'm just trying to think of his name off the top of my head, and I can't. From Eau Claire, Assistant Chief, he does the EMS part of it. And he was there, John Schultz, and told us what they had to offer and everything else, and the approximate price that would be, that he thought it might be. They'd like to sit down and talk to us too. He talked to the city director, and they would like to sit down and talk to us and hash this out. They had both asked for a letter of proposal, which I did make up, and we'll have to decide if we're gonna send that out or what. But that way it starts the ball rolling again for them to sit down and talk with us. We did the last meeting, Gene Gutsch did bring some flip charts. Pardon me, I'd picked some up and brought them, but he had better ones, so we used his. And Alice was kind enough to act as our marker on the board as temporary secretary that night and fill in the charts for us, which was great. And we got what we have discussed and what we have to yet discuss, and the pros and cons of staying or leaving. Adam Wood mentioned that there was, as far as replacing the fire equipment, there's so many variables and approximately what it might cost to do that. So, trying to keep everybody to keep an open mind about it. So, our goal is to do what's best for the people in the township of Wheaton, not just one or two, but everybody in the town of Wheaton. So, and also the safety of our firefighters, so they got the proper backup they need. So, that's about it, unless anybody wants. Adam, is there anything I'm missing? Or not Adam, Andrew or Adam, it doesn't matter. Anything you can think of? Anything you can think of from being there the other night, Alice?
No, but it is really nice, all of the things that you went through, and you did send that out to all of us.
Mm-hmm.
Why go on your own? That was really good. Everybody got a copy of that. All the pros and cons, why stay, why go.
Right. Trying to keep everybody informed
Yep.
so they know what's going on. Any questions?
Okay, no questions, gonna move on.
All right.
Website updates. Changes and additions that the board would like, anything? Have we done here anything?
This last month, we just added in some of those pictures that you had of the, under our road stuff, so.
That's our new grader.
Yeah.
Did we get a good price on it?
Oh yeah, we just looking for the horse.
As we get other, historical pictures or whatnot, that make sense to put out there, we can certainly add those in. This one was kind of fitting under the road stuff. And maybe potentially at a certain point in time, we might have, kind of a little history type of thing. Here's what happened in the different years, as a separate page. But we did that, and then the other piece, just kind of getting ready for the comprehensive plan when the time comes. So we added in some pieces. What is the comprehensive plan? When do we do it? what our current one is, and then when we have the proposed one, so that people can review that and then provide feedback, so.
Okay,
For example, when we get the first chapter done, we're going to have you posted on here, and that's when people can make the feedback, which will be great, so they can comment as we go through it on the different chapters, so that it won't be the entire plan dumped on them at once, it'll be dumped on them at chapters, per chapters. Excuse me.
That's fine.
And thank you, Ken,
Yep.
You and your crew are doing a great job on that.
thanks.
okay. Any other questions or anything? We need a motion to adjourn to closed session.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn to closed session per 19.85.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded, roll call.
Bud Beckwith,
Here.
Wayne Miller,
Yes.
Alice Drosky,
Aye.
Ken Books,
Aye.
Mark Plaskowski.
Aye. Okay, close session. I don't, 85-2. So, in 2018, we had some complaints about the way some of the mowing had gotten completed. 2019, we have no complaints with the way the mowing has gotten completed. Everything is worked out. We met, me and Ken met with Nate at the beginning, back in March. All of the issues were hammered out, and we got, the mowing has been just fine this year. What do you guys wanna do with all this contract? Got a motion?
And there's been people that's requested the bid on this other companies. I think it don't hurt to do that every once in a while. Nate has done a great job this year, and thank you for that, Nate. But I think it don't hurt to, you know, put it up for bid and see what happens. So, I guess I'll make a motion to put it to bid. And then we'll have to look at the way
So
the
we're gonna
contract
complete
is
this
written.
contract the way it is.
Right.
And then bid and have it written better, so that it's more clear. Like I said, I don't have a problem with what Nate's done this year. It looks.
No, he's done a good job.
Had no complaints at all. Everything's worked out great, so.
So how do we finish this then?
What's that?
What do we do for this year then? Since there is no contract in place, what do we do?
Well, we would finish this up at the amount that you got on here. And you did however many mowings you did, that's what you get. You know, if that came out to 15 grand, that's what it is, or whatever it is.
All right,
I mean, that's what we agreed to.
okay, I'm good with it, so we're just gonna just do it off of here and just do that and finish it off?
Yep, and then bid it here this fall again. What we'll do is we'll just put it out and so that we can, with the stuff that we've talked about, to make it clear about what is being paid, you know, how it's being paid and how it's being mowed, more than how it's being paid. The contract is what we need to do is have a well-maintained, areas, so.
Build
The motion has been made to finish this contract out and bid. Is that what your motion is?
Yep, that's what my motion.
I'll second it.
Motion's made and seconded to finish this contract out and rebid this for multi-year contract this fall. We can decide on what that is. Roll call vote.
Bud Beckwith,
Nay.
Wayne Miller,
Yes.
Alice Drosky,
Aye.
Ken Books,
Aye.
Mark Plaskowski.
Aye.
Scott,
Motion
do you have a
carried.
question?
Yeah.
What were you just gonna say?
You're gonna bill per mowing at the rates we discussed, correct?
We're gonna finish up what this is, so it's gonna be the 13 plus whatever extra is the mowing. If we're gonna finish this one out, we're finishing it out.
Is everyone clear on that?
Yeah,
I wanna be
yeah, that's
clear on
what
that.
it is, that's what it is.
All right.
So 13,000
Yeah, that's what it is, 'cause
plus the
that's-
overages.
Plus the overages, yep.
Yep.
All right. Sounds good.
I mean, that's what, you mowed more than what these times are anyway, so it's gonna be more than that, so, yeah.
So just so everybody's clear, it would be probably $5,000 or $6,000 cheaper if we did a 1-year extension. I just want everybody to be clear on that. So we'll pay the extra?
Yep.
Yes.
All right. Awesome. All right. That sounds good to me.
You did do a good job, Nate, but, there's been other people, other companies that requested to bid it and stuff, and we have
You
to,
wanna know how to build, that's all.
right.
My vote was based on if we're satisfied with that, why not extend it? Because you're easy to work with. If there's something we don't care for, it's easy to come to you, and I don't think you've ever refused us once to rectify the problem. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
No, I'm good with it, that's cool. Just so I know how to send the bills, so I'll send those in and,
You'll email them to me, correct? Like you have in the past?
yeah,
Invoices by the end of the month, is that reasonable?
absolutely, right by the end of tomorrow.
Thank you, Nate.
Alright, old business, new updates, water testing, what, have we got anything on that?
On July 13th, I was at the town hall. 22 kits were given out for the nitrate levels. I'd like you all to know that if you'd like to go to the land conservation and forest management, this is available. It's a groundwater flow model for western Chippewa County. It's also online if you'd like to take a look at it online. And another thing is that maybe you all heard Tony Evers, our governor, has ordered new farm rules to limit nitrate pollution in drinking water. And so that's really a great thing. He talks about the fact that 1.7 million people in Wisconsin rely on private wells for drinking water, and it's estimated that 1 in 10 Wisconsin wells has a high nitrate level. But it's especially hazardous to pregnant women and infants.
And the elderly.
No,
I thought the elderly was too.
it's really not so much the elderly, it's pregnant women and infants.
Okay.
And farm fertilizer and manure are the main sources of the nitrate pollution in our drinking wells. And what he's done is, and the DNR is working with the farmers, and the farmers are very cooperative in this. But that's what it looks like is going to happen. They're going to have new farm rules that limit nitrate pollution and how much manure can be put on the land. So that's going to be a good thing. I'll keep you guys updated on that.
Did you get a list of what the nitrates were on the wells that were tested?
No, they're going to, as soon as, they're waiting for a while because not everybody has sent them in. And so as soon as they do, they'll have a map and they'll add to that map that they gave us so that it'll show all the it doesn't give anybody's names, it's very private, but they'll update the map and then we'll all get a copy of it here on the town board.
I know for sure that the wells at 29 Pines, that the nitrates are going down from what they were originally. The nitrate levels are actually dropping. That's right. There's a lot of agriculture going around right there, and so, it's getting better. I heard Evers in his speech and all that stuff. One of the things they're talking about is nitrates. Well, on the farms and the egg, okay, there's still research being done,
Right.
and there's an awful lot of stuff there's an awful lot of nitrates being put in by private septic also.
Yes.
And there's other things that are causing problems, so, not one being nature, the ground itself, the amount of acid rain that we get coming from polluted China or wherever, circling the earth, and as it's hitting the ground, it's dissolving minerals in the ground that are also creating nitrate. So there's a lot of things that are involved in this, and there's research being done. So the good thing is, at least there's some action on it, and some, the programs are collecting information so that we can see what really is going on. We're not just guessing or pointing a finger at somebody. saying you're the problem, and that's not really,
Right.
that, and they may be, but maybe they aren't. So we wanna know for sure, and so it's working out really good. I think it's because the one thing we all want is a
Good drinking water.
good, safe drinking water, so.
I'm just gonna ask a quick question if I can. Anybody here have their wells tested on, this last thing? What were the nitrates?
9.9.
Right, Tom, did you do yours? What were yours? At .2? That's excellent. Mine was 1.2 and my son's was 2.4.
I had mine done and it was 6.
Yours was 6? Okay.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Was it higher at one time?
Mine was higher, when it was initially in, so it's gotten better.
Yeah, mine is
Good.
4.7, so
I
mine was
I
good
think,
as
you know,
well.
some of the farming practices certainly are
Our,
going to,
I think our change
reduce.
are helping, yeah.
they're going to help, so. Okay, review, discuss, act on park camera system camera installation.
Alright, so, for this one, we went through, we did a proof of concept, reviewing a couple different camera options, based on our last meeting. The first camera that we had set up there didn't capture license plates as well as we had wanted, so we tried out a higher resolution camera. We've had that up at the park, so this just kind of shows you the, I pulled some footage off of it so you can kind of see the quality.
This is the second one or the first one?
This is the second one. It does pretty good at picking up animals too.
Did anybody park a vehicle there to see if you could take the license plate off of it?
Yeah, but it depended on how they,
What angle and stuff?
what angle. This is
Okay,
coming
but
off of
the point of this is if you can see it at all.
Yep.
That we're going to put this at a location that they're coming into the
Correct.
park, so that they're coming down the road, so we're always going to have, unless they come down the road with their vehicle sideways at 100 miles an hour.
Some of them might.
But yeah, if people pulling into the park, we should be able to capture,
Yep.
the
see if it-
license plates as long as they're coming at it. We'll have it up on.
So we had basically done that. Then based off of that, different footage, whatnot, we tried out that other camera. It did do a better job. The intention was to basically locate that camera closer to when you first come in. So we got a nice little map.
Probably put a sign up stating that it's cambered.
We do right now today. There is one.
There's one on the front of the fire station, I know.
Yeah, there's a thing
Is there
that says
another one?
there's camera.
Oh, is there? Okay.
So our intention was. Our intention was over here, kind of out by the edge of the road, we'll be adding that park sign there, and we would make that post taller, so that we could affix a camera to both sides of that post. So you get a shot of them coming in and a shot of them leaving. And then we'd have these additional, these would be the lower res camera that would come off of the building and then off of the fire station, so that you get a shot of the other parking lots as part of that. All in all, for 9 cameras that are 4 megapixel, 2 cameras that are 8, and then to get the conduit out to where that entrance road is, it's $12,759.40. And that was through Krista Computers, and that would link all these cameras onto a single recorder. You can also do alerts. So, example would be, let's say the park closes at 10 o'clock at night and it opens at 7 o'clock in the morning. So you can, within the software, you could draw a line across there and it will send an alert anytime something goes past that line. So if there was some activities that were happening in the park, let's say.
What are we gonna do for a fire?
What's that?
What are we gonna do for a fire?
Well, right, there would be alerts that would go up, but you would see the fire trucks leave.
Okay.
You know,
so,
at that
I
point,
mean,
so-
But is it gonna be waking you up? It's not waking me up.
No,
right?
you can have it, yeah,
You're telling Jeremy.
right,
Yeah.
exactly.
I mean, where's the alert?
The alerts can go to email. So it can go to an email, you can have it go to
Okay.
multiple.
So that in the morning.
Yep, yeah. So if you were looking for a pattern of activities,
Right.
you know, let's say whatever, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, every day at 2 o'clock in the morning, you know, somebody decides to stop off there. Now you would be able to have that pattern of events, you'd have the footage, so that we could share that with law enforcement too, to give them an opportunity to say, okay, here's a window of time when these things are happening. So the whole intended, you know, purpose out of this is, you know, we have had some situations happen down there. We had some vandalism in the porta potties where they broke the hand dispensers for the saline solution or hand washing solution. We've had a stolen vehicle get dropped off in the park this year. We've had some drug paraphernalia that's been found, along with, you know, wads of money that were up in the circle when you go up in the woods, the one trail. That's why we had put up the chain gate to prevent vehicles from driving up into the woods where they were kind of out of sight, out of mind, and keep the vehicles down in the parking lot. So then at least, you know, whether it's, you know, members of the public there, the fire personnel are there, it's a lot harder to get away with something if you see that there's some vehicles there. So, and obviously, you know, the township has invested a considerable amount of money in this property. So, you know, so that's kind of the
What's warranty
summary.
on this equipment?
1 year.
1 year? And they maintain it too?
Yeah,
For that?
they do.
What about the boat landing? I
So for
understand we
the-
got our sign stole down there, the handicap sign and something else.
So for the boat landing, and the park expansion, so off of 40th Street there, what we were looking at is doing like a deer camera type of thing that can be mounted, to record. The only downside there is they do have some where you can, you know, connect them to like a 4G service. So we're looking at that. Is that economical, or do we just record it to a in a sense a card, and then when a situation comes up, somebody goes and swaps the card out and then looks at the footage to see. So like when we had that truck that went piling into the Chippewa River,
That was
or the
stolen.
picnic table stolen, we'd at least have something where we could go back and look.
Okay. But this number doesn't include any of that, that's all extra.
Correct. To do the park expansion one and the boat landing, that would be extra. This is just to address the,
9 cameras.
Do we
Yeah.
have it in the budget, Mark?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it is, because we did 67,000
yeah,
in there yet.
67,000 in park outlay.
And, so, yeah, it's in there, the money's in to be able to do that. We've got, I mean, we're saving money for getting that pavilion on the upper field too. And we had, what have we spent on the,
We haven't spent it, we haven't had anything really come out. We got the bill just now for the waste containers, so that'll come out of the park outlay. Other than that,
So you want a
yeah,
motion to
actually,
buy the
we've
9
got
cameras?
$3,000.
that's maintenance. I think that's out of the maintenance budget,
4,000.
out of the maintenance budget,
You want
What's,
them,
what's that?
that 4,000.
Park maintenance, I mean?
Culture, recreation, and education. We had 30 grand in there for that. We've spent 4 so far.
Yeah.
So even that, I mean,
Yeah.
that, you
Yep.
know, that there is probably, so that you're not touching the funds for the pavilion is the thing. That there would be a place to, because basically this is an improvement for the park. I mean, this is to secure makes more secure the investments that we have in that park, and that we hope to, we're gonna have more. I mean, we
Yeah.
hope to be able to keep improving it, so you gotta,
I'll make-
Did you say this will not pick up the license plates?
The higher res one, so with us putting it out there closer to the road when they come in, we should grab that higher res will grab a license plate.
Okay.
Where we did our test, we're on the side of the fire station there, so it's really tough, you know, when people are pulling in there. Because when the camera faces out, your headlights are faced right towards it, so that's why when we would put this out there, you'd get a shot both of them coming and going, so you'd have a better intent, better.
Because without the license plate, like, that one year when somebody stole all the tax receipts out of our mailbox, they then went to Walmart, and Walmart's camera caught the car stealing a purse out of another car. It got everything except the license plate.
Yep.
So they couldn't track it. It was a silver Honda, you know,
Yep.
a man and a woman.
Yep.
But
yep,
if you can't get that license plate,
And that was kind of some of the discussion that had happened is why we made a decision to put the 2 cameras out by the actual entrance road to ensure, because originally we looked at just doing those higher res cameras coming off of the fire station or the lower concession building. The problem is that you're counting on them to pull into one of those 2 areas to get that shot. Where there's really only one road in and one way out. I mean, if they go driving in the grass, we can't do nothing about that, right? But then again, we'll have a shot of them driving up the grass.
I'll make a motion that we go ahead and purchase this for 12,000, whatever.
Second.
12,759.40. Motion made and seconded. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Motion made and seconded to purchase these cameras for $12,759.40. Roll call.
Bud Beckwith,
Yay.
Wayne Miller,
Yeah,
Al Ostrowski,
aye.
Ken Books,
Aye.
Mark Weskowski.
Aye. Moving on, motion carries. Moving on. Night depository for town treasurer. Okay, so there's 2 proposals. I didn't print that out, but I got 2 proposals. One is $250 for it's not a terribly secure on the inside, but it would be secure on from the outside of the building. You can't get into it. The other one was like $650, which makes it more secure on the inside, but I don't think on the inside makes a whole lot of difference.
where was that gonna be located, Mark?
Well, and we'd have to see if we can put it into the clerk's office at this point, just go through the wall there with it. But what we would do is get all the tax receipts and everything would be, all the tax stuff would be sent to the mailbox, or people could drop it in, that's fine, they can put it in there. But, anything would be mailed, and Lenny and Matt would be picking up the mail or
Daily?
on the weekends. If Scott was up here, he's usually up here on a Saturday or whatever, you know, to pick up the mail and just throw it in there, for the treasurer to manage, so that would be coming in every day, and at that point in the time frame, the treasurer is going to be dealing with that stuff every day, pretty much. We're gonna have to come and pick it up or
You've
whatever.
personally
but-
seen these 2 then?
Pardon?
You have personally seen these 2?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
What's your opinion? Which one do you
Well, I
think
think the $250 one is fine.
is adequate?
Yeah, I don't think that, it's not so much, if somebody breaks into the building and breaks into that room to get to that, they're gonna swipe the whole darn thing anyway, and I don't know why anybody would ever go to that kind of trouble. So, maybe they would, but That would be really, so, yeah, I don't think that spending the additional money is, but it basically, you know, I mean, it's a depository where you put it in there, you can't reach in from the outside or anything, you can't get to any of the, and it would just be a box on the inside that would be right under the window or whatever there.
How big are we talking about?
They're about, yeah, about 18 inches square, 18-inch square, they're about 2 feet high, something like that, right at that. I'll get dimensions on it.
You don't use that air conditioner anyway.
Right, yeah.
We'll get you that now.
We'll see on the side of it there. We'll see where we can put it.
I take it, can I ask a question?
Yep.
I take it it's built out of metal.
Yeah.
So, because when I design libraries, I make basically the room that the depository is in is essentially fireproof. And I put a rated door on the thing because sometimes people like to put in not only their, receipts or their mail or whatever, but sometimes they like to throw in a Molotov cocktail or two. And so when it drops down in, you don't want it to explode or hit the floor. So I would suggest you make something that's, you know, you don't have it, get something that's cushioned on the inside too. So if it's built out of metal, of course, its chances of, you know, having something combust is lesser. But particularly in the anti-government situation that we're at now.
Yeah, and I guess people could do small.
Oh, they're gonna do whatever they want, probably go through the window first. But
Yeah,
I think that's just,
Yep.
that's just,
it's a good
as long
point.
as it's built out of metal, that's probably the biggest
Yeah,
problem.
these are
Instead of like, laminate, you know, or something like that.
no, these are metal night depository boxes, so, and fairly cheap, I mean, not that expensive.
Do you want a motion then?
Yeah.
All right, I'll make a motion that we purchase the $250 night depository for the town treasurer.
I'll second it.
Motion made, seconded to purchase night depository at $250. Roll call.
Bud Beckwith,
Yay.
Wayne Miller,
Hey,
Al Ostrowski,
Aye.
Ken Books,
Aye.
Mark Laskowski.
Right. Motion carried. Review, discuss, act on the status of the Facebook page that is purporting itself to be the township Facebook page. So, Alice, what, you mentioned to me something the other
Oh, I
day.
sent it out to all of you. I happened to just take a look at the Town of Wheaton Facebook page, and ROM Construction that did the construction for Lilydale must think that's, I'm assuming thinks that's our site. Did you all see that I sent that to you?
Mhm.
Yeah, he posted 25 pages of Lilydale on there and talked all about his construction.
What was, you looked at, I never did look at it.
Mhm.
Don't know, what was that, Adam? Did you look at that again?
It's the town of Wheaton shared, Ron posted that Lilydale thing on their Facebook page. And the town of Wheaton shared Ron's to their page.
Oh,
So
see,
Ron
I don't know how.
Ron didn't put anything on there.
Oh, see, I don't know how that works, but,
Yeah, the town of Wheaton, whoever's running the town of Wheaton page
yes.
shared Ron's post
Oh, okay.
to the town of Wheaton.
Well, that's
page.
how it works then.
did both of them get their registered letters?
Yes, but it wasn't signed by the individuals that we had addressed them to.
Well, but they were
Who
signed
signed
by
them?
somebody.
Who signed them?
Pat DeMoe signed for Gary and Rita Fear signed for Dennis.
Oh.
Okay, so they got it.
They got
Yes. They got the letters, so. I'll talk to the lawyer. Okay. We're gonna move on. We'll still got a little bit of stuff to do with that. Review, discuss, act on request by Mark Abramovitz.
Abramovich.
Abramovitz.
You should be able to pronounce that.
No, I shouldn't. Mark I can pronounce. To rezone property at 141 County Highway X
I
from
read
ag to
that you
residential.
sent us, or sent
Okay.
me, yeah.
So, I did, the last time I said I was going to check, So I checked with the county, with Doug Clary, the county Doug Clary guy, zoning. And, that land at one time was residential too. It was rezoned in 2006 back to ag. Doug recommends that it stay ag because of all of the large amounts of land around it. Me, I guess I don't have a, okay, so which property is it exactly?
Keep going. Keep going. There you go,
Right, but now go back now,
back to there.
so what's the land right west of you, Mark? Was that R?
To the west of me,
Yeah.
that's another residence there, but it's zoned ag.
Okay, so ag is from west of that.
And then
I mean,
all the other
residential.
houses to the west of that is all residential.
Right, and see that whole lot all the way over to, that entire 40 there was zoned as residential at one point, before the road went through there and all that stuff, that whole thing was, but they moved it back to ag because they didn't keep developing it, and they wanted to produce crops on it, so.
So the previous homeowners agreed to put it back to ag, or was it just done?
This was done in 2005 or 6, so I don't know.
Okay.
Because all of it was put back. So I'm thinking Rooney's did it, I don't know. I don't know who did it. Don't know who moved it back. So the question is whether it's acted on to, if the board wants it to go back to have it as ag, that one beside to the west, they're still ag.
Yes.
And so this would be one residential lot by itself on an island, basically.
I guess it would, but it's not like a spot zone, because it's residential just to the west of that, so.
What do you
I
guys?
guess I don't know what the issue is with
Well, I'm gonna
determining if
stay
that's
with my planning commission.
changing it to residential one.
I'm staying with my planning commission.
I believe zoning is kind of skeptical of creating islands, like one portion and surrounded by ag. In the past, that's what they've told us anyway.
Yeah, and Doug kind of expressed that the other day. He said it was just, well, I think I sent.
Yep, I have it
Yeah,
right
good
here,
stuff.
yeah, in front of me, I read it.
Even though the property next to me is a residence, it doesn't matter, even though it's owned. I guess I just don't see how you would create that as being an island with a residence right there.
Right, well, I know what you're asking there. Well, we need to move on with this, so everybody's looked at this last month, and what do you guys wanna do with it? I mean, do you wanna rezone it to residential, or leave it as ag?
Leave it as ag.
Would you, I mean, this will be a recommendation to the county.
I'll go with you.
Make a motion, we leave it as ag.
Second,
Motion made, seconded to leave the property zoned as ag. Roll call.
Bud Beckwith,
hey,
Wayne Miller,
Yeah.
Al Ostrowski,
Aye.
Ken Books,
aye.
Mark Laskowski.
Nay. Motion carried. Leave it as ag. New business, review, discuss, act on the appointment of the fire commission representative for the seat now held by Dale Hayden. This will be a full-term appointment. I don't have anybody, nobody asked me if that they wanted to be. I recommend that we reappoint Dale Hayden to this position.
I'll second.
I make a motion that we do that.
Any second?
Any second. Motion made, seconded to reappoint Dale Hayden to the full term for the fire commission representative. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Review, discuss bartender licenses. We got any this time?
One. No,
Thanks for doing a great job
What's
too,
that?
Dale.
No issues. I recommend that we approve that bartender license.
One bartender license. I make a motion, we approve bartender license.
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. We're trusting Scott. Review, discuss, act on park commission recommendations for the following items. Phase 2 improvements for dock grant application.
So this one was, the Parks Commission has been talking about, phase 2 of the boat landing improvements. There is a, the DNR has a, recreational boating facilities grant, that, we could apply for as part of the phase 2, improvements, which would be the boat dock.
That's from the DNR?
Yep, that's through the DNR.
Okay.
Eligible applicants are counties, towns, cities, villages. Eligible projects are construction projects, so facilities such as ramps or boarding docks are required to gain access to the water. And it supports facilities including parking lots, signage, fencing, security lighting for the convenience of boaters. Right now, it looks like the eligibility dates would be, we would have to have our grant application in by June 1st of 2020. The DNR provides cost sharing of up to 50% for eligible costs. So we would submit by June 1st. We won't, of 2020. We won't hear anything back on the grant application until the end of the year in 2020. Which would mean this would be, if we were to receive the grant, the soonest we would look at any funds would be 2021. So the Parks Commission is willing to take up doing the grant application like we've done in the past, but they want to be assured that they got the full support of the town board, because it is a considerable amount of effort to go through these grant applications and get the subsequent documentation together for
What
it.
are we looking at for total price of the?
Total price for the dock, which would be similar to what they have across the river at that home association, was right around 30,000. So if you figure a
We gotta come up with
50%, we would have to cover 15,000 of it, and they would cover 15,000.
So we need to allocate 20 or 25 is what we probably need to allocate
Right.
over the next 2 years, basically, or 20 and 21.
Correct.
So we would need to decide if that's, we wanna do that for the boat dock. Okay, so one of the things that I wanna make sure, if we're going to do improvements like that at the boat dock, is get security down there too. Some of the objects being found down there are not pleasant. I think there may have been some vagrants down there today in a vehicle parked in, probably in Andrews Woods.
Jesus Christ.
So, you know, we're gonna need to do a little bit of security too,
To secure
down
that.
there before we, you know, really get into, so I mean, that needs to be part of the project,
Yep.
that it goes in at the same time, so that we can start to monitor that, including maybe, that might, in that grant, maybe some lighting. I mean, we probably would wanna do some kind of, I don't know, if we can run an extension up to Andrew's house.
Is there any lighting on there right now?
No.
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 The closest access, we did look at this in the past, about bringing power down to there. And it was between 12 and 15,000 just to get power
Didn't you
down
look
to
at
the
solar
boat
lights?
landing.
Solar lights.
And as an alternative, we
Yeah.
looked at
Solar lighting.
doing solar lighting.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the right of ways and, yeah.
Solar lights are about 36 to 48
Yeah, they priced those out.
Yeah, we didn't do it right park yet.
So we'll wanna, you know, some of that stuff needs to, we need to gel all of that at the same
Yeah.
time to be able to
Can you
do
put all
something
that
that's
stuff in there
reasonable
on that
there.
grant?
Yeah, it says you can do, as part of this, it says you can do, supports facilities include parking lots and signage, fencing and security lighting.
Okay.
So,
I'm wondering if we, yeah, well, we'll take a look, yeah. Well, and there's some other ideas
Yeah.
I've got, I'll get with the park commission
Yeah.
on what other things. We might wanna talk to Bob Swirsky on some of that
What
too.
was the price on that, Ken?
It was like, 30,000, and that's, that, to kind of put things in perspective, that 30,000 is to do, L type of dock, so that you could basically you can have one dock, or one boat that's being loaded in the ramp, and then another person can be docked at the ramp, or at the dock there. And then that included doing the, pylons, so it literally is maintenance free from the township, i.e. when they give us the 30 minutes of notice that they're opening the dam, this fluctuates and goes up and down these
Right.
big metal poles. It's very similar to what they have across the river, and so it's not requiring somebody to go down there and rip out the dock before it goes floating down the river.
Okay.
So that,
We need a motion on support then, is that what you're looking for?
I think just as long as the board's in agreement, then
Yeah,
we'll
okay.
take it from there. We just
I
didn't
think-
wanna
I
go
think we
through.
should. I think we should definitely pursue that.
Yes.
And, you know, if we can get that, a grant like that, I would think that would be well worth. I mean, I think people that use that just love that location.
I actually think if you had a better dock system, something that was more stable and people could hook up, feel more comfortable about hooking up to it, and be more used, and that might cut back on the vacancy too.
That's
Yeah.
true.
That's
Yep.
kind of my personal opinion.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, go ahead. Picnic tables.
Okay, so, the next one was, the picnic tables, so, we have the 3 picnic tables that have the roofs on them. I can pull this up too. Alright, so there's 3 of them that have roofs on it. We had looked at basically putting in a concrete slab, up here. Right now, it's sitting right here. So if you've seen, you know, with us not having anything, it's a pain. You know, when you're mowing around and weed whipping, and pretty soon there's no legs left on the picnic table. So our thought process was looking at a couple different options. I mean, we looked at doing just some paver block, you know, type of thing, but it's got to be a little bit heavier dutier paver block in order to support, because that roof on those picnic tables is pretty heavy. By the time you get done paying the labor to do that, it's just cheaper just to pour a slab of concrete. So 3 of those areas, and then we had identified this area here for some motorcycle parking. This is one of the things that's been on our improvement list. You know, we do get some motorcycles down there. The thought process is having it kind of be away from the concession area. That way kids aren't, you know, going around it, whatnot.
Sitting on 'em.
So this was the area that we identified for that. We basically had 3 bids come in. The Parks Commission had approved to move forward with concrete connections. The total was $5,175 to do all those spots. So
How big of a slab is that?
I think I had it here. So a motorcycle parking area is 10 foot by 20 foot. and then the picnic table area is 16 foot by 14 foot. So, and that gave enough walkway around the picnic table too, so, let's say that there was a person that, you know, if you look like where the handicap parking was, here, this would be tied in, so that if there was somebody in a wheelchair and they wanted to sit there, it'd be easy for them to access that and have a spot.
Good idea.
I don't like 5-inch slab with number 3 bars, 2 feet on center. We're wasting money, or we're not, something's wrong with that, but.
You think like 4-inch slab?
Well, we need
was the
at least a
dimensions
5-inch
of
slab,
the,
but I think what we probably should be
picnic
putting in is
slab?
wire mesh 4x4, wire mesh. Not, 2 feet on center, number 3 bars is useless. That's not really any value.
20 by 10? No,
But,
no.
so
Yeah.
the technical detail of that is gonna be really small. That's
And then
not,
16 by
that
14.
isn't a big deal, so. I guess I'd wanna talk to them guys. I know them guys. I'd talk to them. We'd get that fixed. The pads for the tables, you don't know what, was that 5-inch thick?
No, that was 4-inch.
4?
That is 4, I know that.
Yeah. I would think that's fine with some fiber mesh or something in there. I would think it would be just fine, so that's okay. But anyway, okay, so we need a motion. Do we wanna do it or not? 5175, right?
Yep.
That's just for the motorcycle parking.
That's for everything.
All of them, the picnic tables and motorcycle.
No, I'll make a motion for the picnic tables with ropes and concrete pads, motorcycle parking concrete pad, $5,175.
Who's the vendor?
Concrete connections.
Second it.
I'll second it.
Motion made, seconded to put in the concrete pads for motorcycle parking and the 3 picnic tables for $5,175. Roll call.
Bud Beckwith,
Yeah,
Wayne Miller,
Yes.
Al Ostrowski,
Aye.
Ken Books,
Aye.
Mark Leskowski.
Aye. Motion carried. Irrigation addition between Longview and Prairie View Fields.
All right, so this one is. Okay, so currently, right now, between the two, lower fields, there's no irrigation in between there. The fields are irrigated, but not that area in between there. When you look at the highest usage down in the park, that's the area that gets beat up really well. Both the hill on both the north and the south side. And so what we had looked at, we currently have a zone 5 that is not being used. And we would look to reallocate that zone to put heads in that middle section there, which would also irrigate that hillside, so that we have some better base than what we do right now. So if you look at it like, you know, the situations that we had where we didn't irrigate and we got heavy foot traffic in there, then come July, once baseball's over, we're playing catch up all the rest of the summer to try to get that grass to come back in. So this was, and WeMo had provided an estimate, $12.75 for putting in those irrigation heads.
When would them get put in?
Yet this fall. I would say we would want it done before baseball starts next year, otherwise we're gonna be dealing with the same issue again, where we're gonna have all the heavy foot traffic.
Yeah.
And so we've had a couple years of kind of seeing how this is since we've seeded that, and finish that other concrete work to,
Okay, need motion.
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Motion made, seconded, provide the irrigation at $1,275. $1,275. Roll call vote.
Bud Beckwith,
Hey,
Wayne Miller,
Yes.
Al Ostrowski,
Aye.
Ken Books,
Aye.
Mark Laskowski.
Right. Batting cage upgrades and expansions. What are we doing there?
Okay, next one. Don't worry, kids. Okay, so what the ball league is looking to do is replace the cage that's over here by the fire station, as well as the cage that's up top. If I can get this to, and then they would like to add a second cage here to that.
Is there enough room on that hill?
There is enough room
Okay.
for it to fit, without us having to move the swing set either. They would do the same construction that is used out by the one by the road, and as you obviously can handle our winters a lot better now with that setup. The ball league is going to pay for the cages, so they would pay for the materials and the construction labor costs to do that. The only piece that would be asked of the town is if they can take out the sod here and then cover the ball field material to go back in where we take that out,
The
which
sand, or
which
the
is
shale.
the
There's
shale,
in there.
that limestone material, which
Yeah.
we're basically looking at a load of it at, Lenny said it's $5 a ton.
Yeah.
So that's what and
Okay, I'll make a motion for the batting cage upgrades and expansions.
I'll second.
What's the total figure on that, or you don't know?
One load of limestone material, which is, he said $5 a ton, and I thought it was like $75 for the dump truck load.
Yeah.
The rest of the expenses will be covered by the ball league.
Okay.
I make one comment, when we talked to somebody about donating our fishing loan and our chain link backstop, can we bring that, I'll bring it over your home, I'll bring it down there. It's got rubber and everything, it's several $100s worth of material, but it's commercial quality stuff, so.
Nice.
Instead of real fishing loan,
Thank you.
yeah.
yes.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, Bob.
So we got a motion. And a second?
Yep.
You seconded. Motion made, seconded to get the material, the truckload of materials for the expansion of the batting cages. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign, motion carried.
I'm done now.
All right. Review, discuss, act on land owned by Wheaton Nelson at curve 62nd Avenue and 35th Street. Two parcels are proposed at 6.5 acres per parcel. Okay.
Ken, bring up option 6.
Option
Option 6.
Options, man.
Okay, go to option 6. No, oh,
Let's wait.
Keep scrolling down.
went away, didn't it? There it is.
Taking a little
There,
while
and then
to
just
load.
turn, turn it for us, please.
Once I figure that out again.
Go to the bottom. No.
Might have to download it into Adobe.
Yeah.
That's what I do. Now I think you can rotate it. Yeah,
That's the wrong one, though.
there. No, he'll go down quick to 6. There you go. And then if you can make it, there you go. Thanks. There
Is
you
that
go.
good?
That's, thank you, Ken. That's what we approved at the planning
Okay,
commission.
so, go ahead.
Yep.
Bill, what do we gotta look at here now? What's the discussion?
Well, if the town board will approve the sale of these, allow him to sell these 2 lots.
Okay, so what are we doing with the piece on the corner?
That's another
That's
discussion.
the next one.
Yeah, that's the
So
next
the first
discussion.
ones are these other 2
Right.
going to the
We
west.
just need the board to approve
The sale of lot 1 and lot
them 2
2.
lots, right?
So what did the plan commission, you went through all of this?
So we went through all of this. Yes, that's correct.
And you said, and
Yes.
you agreed to it.
Yes, we did.
Make a motion, we need motions.
To lot 1 and 2.
Anybody have any discussion on it?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded to,
Approve option 6,
to
the 6th option.
to take care, to, okay, so what's the motion? Motion is made
To
to
allow the
Allow
sale
it.
of them.
Allow the sale, right?
allow the sale of.
The 2
of
parcels.
Two parcels
Parcels.
at 6.58 acres, is that right?
Yes, it would be to approve the map.
Right,
Uh,
the
and-
CSM of
Yeah,
the 6th
certified
option.
building,
Okay, you got that motion, Scott?
Yeah.
Of option number 6.
Approve the motion then, Bud, is to approve the sale, the CSM of the 2 lots of option number 6.
Correct.
I'll second it.
I already did.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
And I'm calling Wayne for the second on that one.
That's fine.
Sorry, Al.
Okay, now.
That was a long time.
There, it's drawn out on the corner, Mark, so that you can, next one.
Okay,
Next.
okay, so review, discuss, act on possible sale of land on the corner of 62nd.
Yep, right there.
So the township where the shale pit drive is located, so what are we doing with that?
It's right there.
Yeah.
Right
How much
there.
land is there?
Right here. Says that right there.
This point, what does that say, 04?
It's
2-4.
.24.
Yeah,
So not even a quarter acre.
and,
Pat's got a better picture over here.
yeah, in Mark, so, when Bill came to me, I saw right away there was a corner, across the town road. And that's just the way that fate had it. I did not know how many board members there were, so
That's okay.
I am so sorry. I only have,
Now, here,
Right here.
Bud and I are good at
yeah.
You sure?
oh, I'm so sorry. I did not know.
So this .25 is to the center line of the road?
Yeah,
Is that
that
what that
counts.
is?
Center line, yep, south,
Okay, south and east from the center line of the
Yeah.
curve.
that's correct.
So actually, the majority of the land is actually on the road right away, not,
Correct.
So we've got so what you wanna do is purchase, you want the town to get that, purchase
I
that
just
land?
want
or-
the town to buy it from me at a fair price, so that they can still use
So
the
what-
gravel pit.
Okay, so what we need first is the town willing to buy this land? Then we'll decide how much. Would you have a proposal for how much?
I thought the fairest way to do it is just let the township come up with a price and make me an offer on it.
Don't we have to take this
That's-
to the lawyer?
Kind of what we had
we'll,
planned.
we'll give you $1 for it. That way you won't,
Start, you know, just,
that way you don't have to pay taxes on it.
no, I've been paying taxes on it.
Oh.
My dad has for 58 years.
Is that
So, I mean, we could go back and prorate the taxes. Years and then
Lawyer?
add that up and then.
Well, we'll get that all, we'll do
I think you
legal
guys
documents.
figure out a fair price and,
We'll-
decide,
Yeah, we'll do that, but we'll do that in a
have
closed
a
session.
closed meeting.
We're gonna have the- We're gonna have a closed session. Actually, we will do a closed session, and we
Yeah.
need to. Actually, that's one of the reasons to have closed sessions.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so we will do that, but we won't do that tonight, but we will very soon. And so we'll have an answer, you know, for the September meeting is what we'll do is, and see what you want. And actually we've got some other stuff to discuss here that may put us into a meeting that we can do that in, where we could get back to you and just get it negotiated, or get you in and just get it finished up.
Sure.
So,
I did
yeah, we
wanna-
want to be, it's.
Yeah, I wanted to keep that in, on that number one lot, because, I mean,
You're right.
I did that, and you had to deal with someone that maybe don't live in the town, and I'm easy to get along with.
No, that's not a problem. Well, so first of all, are we willing to go into negotiations to purchase this?
If it's
property?
reasonable.
This is our right, this is our, and then we can see what we can negotiate out. So
If it's reasonable.
Yeah, depending on the price.
let's,
Right. Price
I don't know
per-
that we need a motion, we just in agreement. So we're agreeing that, we'll agree to do that. And so, that's what we'll do, is we'll set a meeting and get this taken care of.
Bill,
And
just curious, what is the signs pending on there? Or what is
On
it?
the lot number one,
Is that what it is? I didn't know if it was the whole
sales
field.
pending, yeah, a perk test, and basically I've got the first lot sold, and that's all I'm planning on selling.
Oh, okay.
And so, after everything goes through, getting all the approval of everybody, and then the sale will go through on it. That's where we're at right now.
yeah, so the first, these
Andrew
option
might
six
wanna
is,
add something to the situation, cause I'm pretty stupid when it comes to these land deals.
yeah, I think it's
No,
clear what,
right, he's right, though, basically, the approvals come first.
oh, I thought that he was stupid about land.
Oh! But you come to the town first and gain approval,
Sure,
and then to the county, and
yeah,
then the county records it.
yeah, no, that's fine, and you've got that CSM all written up, or what?
Mark, we wish we did,
Okay,
and we don't.
well, just get that for the next meeting, and then we can sign that.
Can I just break it down to you?
Yeah, you can, yeah, if you get a hold of me, and, yeah, that's all we have to do, we approved it, so.
Yeah, and it states in your, chapter 11, that if the map is approved, the town board shall cause the town clerk to so certify on the face of the map and return to the subdivider.
Right.
So I don't know if we have to do all that tonight.
Or let's do that, let's make sure all the maps are done,
Yeah, and then bring them to you.
and just get it all.
We have to
taken care
wait
of.
for a meeting?
No, I mean, we can certify that, because it's approved. You
Okay.
can Just
Fair
get a hold of me.
Yeah.
And then, if the clerk has to sign it too, it sounds like.
No,
No? Okay, I don't know.
no, yeah, just the chairman and,
Okay.
Doug Clary.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah,
And
just
Mark
get a hold,
Geisler at the register of deeds.
right, just get a hold of me. We'll get that worked out. What data, when you have all of the papers, we can get it signed. Okay, then we'll go into, all right, that's all we need to do on that.
Thank you, everybody.
You bet, Bill.
Yeah, Bill,
Sorry you had to wait so long.
Review, discuss on the request by Ryan Stelter to divide land east of Highway 53 on the west hill west of the middle school into lots of 5.5, 2, and 4.3 acres. Mr. Stelter and Bob Sorsky will be present for land discussion. Issue.
I have one exhibit here, and I don't know if we can, we have a
It
scanner
won't fit under.
underneath here. And then I have a large one for any of the public who wants to see it, I can stand here and discuss it. Essentially, what Mr. Stelter, and he'll be able to jump in here, but I'll speak for him here for a few minutes. Mr. Stelter owns essentially this property that's highlighted with a slightly larger or darker gray area. And what you're seeing on this sheet, as well as the exhibit, and I'll let you keep the smaller ones for your records, is basically all hypothetical. He's not asking for anything specific tonight, except your consideration as you move forward with your comp plan Chippewa Falls Middle School being on the lower part of the paper here, and on the west would be Highway 53. The lots that you see up or that we've delineated, are also subject to change, meaning that we would like you to participate, something between 1 acres and 5 acres as well. So, given that those lots up in the Tropicana region are all more city-type lots, I think I can speak for Mr. Stelter that he didn't want to really do anything that small. He has really no interest in that, so it would be 1 acre or 1.2 acres, depending upon how some of the buildable or unbuildable pieces lie. There are some steep, what I wouldn't call them gorges, but steeper ravines through there that, depending upon when the leaves fall off and the survey takes place, some of that stuff will show itself on how best to divide up the lots. But essentially, he's looking at between 1 acre and 2 acre parcels, as much as 5 acres for his own home as well. He has already talked to the city of Chippewa Falls. Obviously, as we all know, Chippewa Falls has never been an aggressor when it comes to pushing people to move out of a township and into a formal municipality that has sewer and water. So the city doesn't care if he does this and stays within the town of Wheaton. I don't, because we're adjacent or we're adjacent to or contiguous to other lots that are like this, and we all know that in Tropicana these areas exist already. We think that this is a great request that you should consider, or we would respectfully like you to consider when you update your comp plan. The point being is, and where I'm going with this, and I think that this is safe to say, I know it's my personal view, and I'm speaking for Mr. Stelter, if this was on the other side of Highway 53, I don't think that this request for your consideration would be valid. So meaning that neither of us would be here. And then you would fall back into that 5 acre category because there's nothing contiguous to that. And so obviously there are very few areas in the township that meet these requirements. So we're hoping that you can at least look a little broader when you finish out the comp plan and get that, as it goes through that formal process with the public hearing. People understand that this is different area, and so just take it under consideration. Again, what you're seeing here is generic, so you don't have to, we want your participation as he moves forward. But he's living under a different set of rules himself. His wife would like to move this forward, so. So the next question you have is, why isn't she here tonight? He and I, well, that's what you get. So, but take this under consideration. We understand that, you're gonna be in that December, January timeframe. But he would like to at least understand what your initial reaction would be, so he can make some appropriate plans, or at least anticipate what he might be up against come midwinter and then early spring.
Okay, so these lots are gonna have to be a minimum of 1.5 acres, no matter what, because of county. I mean, you've just talked to them already, or, I mean, for sewer and water, because you're gonna have sewer and water on each of these lots, not city.
Not city sewer, no city.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You're gonna have well and septic.
Yeah.
You're gonna have well and septic on each lot, so you have to be a minimum of 1.5 acres, no matter what, because the county.
Perfect,
Yeah. So you're looking at 2 acres. Of all the places in the town of Wheaton, this is the one place that I don't see there being any problem with smaller lots at all. There's certainly reason for debate in other places. Now, the only question I would have would be the land and the soils types, and I don't know what that is there.
Right.
But so that the septic and the well and and septics are working, and somebody's in the county is controlling that.
Yeah, so I can answer just a little bit of that. two things, as this move forward, right now, we have no formal agreement between the two of us. I told him what I would do is come for these first couple things to understand the viability of it from your perspective, so basically, he's not trying to communicate what you're saying to him and then to me, and not being here. That's number one. Number two is, if in fact this does move forward, either with him personally, because he's gonna live out here as well, this is not, I feel comfortable about this time, because we're not dealing with the developer, much like I mentioned at the planning commission meeting where the city of Eau Claire, we had a developer come in and we won't be working for him because I kind of put my foot down. He came into the office and without prompting admitted that the city of Eau Claire is coaxing 2 or 3 different developers to buy land and then annex to the city. So the city isn't, approaching you, but they're actively asking people to do that, or to do their bidding for them, which I think is wrong. He's living out here, but if and depending upon how this moves forward, you can kind of see this road in the cul-de-sac. There's gonna be soil borings taken that he's gonna have to take in order to understand what kind of materials out there. At that point, we'll have enough soils information, and quite possibly taken in a couple other locations as well. We'll have soils information to understand about the geology and septic systems and all that kind of stuff. Because I do think that some of the lot lines will have to adjust accordingly as well, so.
Okay, yeah, that's really my,
It's sandy gravel, is what it is.
yeah, and as you get through that, see what you're gonna end up with, but, and then how the lot, and with the topos and all that stuff.
So if you take this under consideration, the one, I think on behalf of him, I'm asking this question, but he can ask it himself, I guess, but if you think about this, and 1.5 acres is the smallest, or at least what you're kind of thinking, if there's any other things that kind of pop up in your brain as you work through the process, if you could let him know, that would be super.
Is it safe?
Any other requirements you might have, so,
Is it safe to say that the board would be open to this? That's the first thing. I mean, I don't see.
in this location, I'm not talking about any other location but this.
Yeah.
Everybody looks at me because
Because
I'm
you want
always
five
the 5 acres. And it's not because I happen to know Ryan. I'll go along with that.
No, but just
Yeah.
to build on what you're saying, I wanna make sure, and this is my personal opinion, if somebody else feels that there's something like this in another area of the township, I believe that it's on them to come out and have the same kind of discussion that we're having
And
with you.
convince the board.
I'm not asking for, when you go through the comp plan, I'm not saying look for other pieces, cause I don't feel that that's appropriate. Somebody else, if they think that they have a argument, they should come before you just like he is,
Yeah.
so.
I have to say that
So-
the planning commission was open to this idea, and we were open to, looking at this at the comp plan, and Patrick Bilfus from Cedar Crook was there, and he got a copy of this, because we said, this is what we'd like to see at the public hearings, so that we can, get out. Now, for me personally, this is just me now, personally, I like the way you have it with the 2 acres, 1.5, I know that's Chippewa County, but you get these big houses in there, and you get them with their 3-car garages, and you get them, everybody has to have another pole shed. Every man does.
Yeah.
I like to see it at 2 acres, I really hate to see it go down to 1.5, I'm just telling you that.
Yeah.
Cause come on, the big houses that are coming out here in the town of Wheaton, and they all got 3-car garages with pole sheds.
Yeah.
I like the
Lots of toys.
5.5
Yeah.
and 2 and 4 points, but you've got these at 2, and I know you said it could be 1.5, but boy, Alice doesn't like to see 1.5.
Yeah.
And it's personal, just
Yeah.
personally.
Yeah. Yeah.
But otherwise, I have
This is
no
real
objection, because you're where you're located, that's all, location, location,
Yeah.
location. Anywhere else, I'd be like, nope,
No,
5
and I-
acres.
and
I know,
yeah.
I'm just telling
Yeah.
you though, how Alice feels about that,
Sure.
1.5.
Sure.
You told me to talk,
I did, no, that's the
No,
kind of
that's
direction
fine.
that we're looking at.
You know,
That's the kind of feedback I
cause
want.
don't you agree the houses are bigger?
It would-
I mean,
Oh, yes,
my
absolutely.
house is 38 years old, it's 1,600 square feet.
Yeah.
That's people's garages
Yeah.
now.
Oh, yeah. I agree. I agree. Yeah.
I would be more likely to go along with the two, as Alice said.
I'd love to see,
I would wanna see it less
I'd
than
love to
that.
say 3,
That's
but
correct.
it won't work for you
Advantage
here.
place in the
It won't
township.
work for you here, but if
This is the
anywhere it's
place.
gonna work, it's
Exactly.
gonna,
It's
and
east of
again, you know,
53.
Patrick took this and
Just
he's
try coming
gonna
west
present,
once
not yours,
I'll be
don't
right
say
there
your
with
name, but it might look just
I'll
like
be
this
right
for
there
our
with you.
public
Yeah.
hearings.
Sure.
Okay,
So that's Kansas City.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, does that help you?
Well, yeah, I just
Okay.
want, I just wanted to keep the ball rolling and just kind of see, so,
We'll consider it.
all right, thank you. Thank you.
All righty, thanks.
thank you
Review,
guys.
discuss,
Just
act,
don't-
changes made to the comprehensive plan survey. Oh,
Where do you want me to drop off this, ball thing?
You can get ahold of me.
Just as long as you don't go west
that's right.
of the highway. There you're looking at an automatic 5.
Not doing that.
Fatherland too.
Yeah.
Keep a lookout for the ball cages with these, all these turf fields that are going in, they have to replace them so often. And you can buy pieces to put in the batting cages and you don't have to worry about it because they work out really good and you can get it really cheap.
All right, cool, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on, review, discuss, act, changes made to the comprehensive plan survey. This is an amending of the previous survey.
Okay, I sent that out to all of you, and we went through it for an hour and a half. I'm not going through it for an hour and a half tonight. You're gonna have to trust your 7 highly efficient. Anybody got any questions?
I was sitting there for the majority of that, and they
We went
did
through
cover
it,
it
every
very well.
single question. Anybody have any questions?
I'm sorry, what is that pertaining to?
It's a survey
The
that's gonna be
communities-
sent out for the comp plan,
We're gonna send out a community survey for the comp plan. You
Oh.
weren't here last
Oh,
month?
that's fine.
Yep.
for opinions and
Yep.
stuff. There's like 30-some questions on there, isn't there? Yeah,
And all of
River
that was
Falls
developed by Cedar Grove,
University.
right?
That's
WD.
correct.
River
Cedar
Falls
Grove.
actually
Yeah.
doing the survey, and they suggested changing some wording or whatever.
So.
Here-
Cedar
here-
Grove
Some they
developed
changed, some they
this.
didn't.
And the thing was that a lot of times we were redundant. You know, when we had, when River Falls, when they looked at it, they said, wait a minute, you said this in question 1, question 4, and question 8, you know, and so they went through it and revised it for us. Yep,
So we can get better.
yes, so that we can hopefully get a real good response out of this. Ken, did you look it over? Did you have
I
any
did.
questions?
I didn't have, any questions. I did review, everything in there.
Yes,
The only piece that I had, I noticed where they were talking about community facilities and services and pulling out the park piece and putting that into, what do they say, under recreation?
park, okay, go to where it says these notes here. Which one of the questions on this
Yeah.
was different?
They took question 2, they took that park facilities.
You mean remove park trails? I'm looking at this,
Bike trails, yep, remove bike trails.
yeah,
And then it said relocate, park and recreations facility to question 22.
right. You don't like that? Remove bike trails. It is elsewhere in the survey and move boating and river park and that, question 22, okay. So, did you read
I think
what?
as long as we get, I think as long as we get the feedback that, you know, people are happy with the facilities down there. You know what I mean? Cause there's certain things that we offer, you know, let's just use an example. Should we put soccer fields in there? To me, that's would be an amenity that would get added to the park. But how are the park facilities maintained would be useful information to know if we should.
So I can tell him whatever. If you want something changed, tonight's the night.
I think we'll.
Question 22, let's see, yeah, there
Yeah.
were redundancies between question 22A and question 2B. There are redundancies between question 22C and question 2G.
Yep.
If the redundancies mentioned are addressed, it would mean snowmobile trails may be the only item listed in the, yeah.
Yeah, and I got that part, where
You
they were
got
saying
that
if they
part?
pull those two
Right.
pieces, then the only thing you got left there is that, is that
Yep.
one, so, I'm fine with that.
Is that all you found?
Yep, that was my only
Well-
notation that I had.
I mean, I can tell Patrick, if you think we should do something different.
It just really comes down to are we gonna get enough feedback out of the park amenities to help us with our long-range plans?
Let's hope so, huh?
We may have to just do some of that at the public hearing.
Right, and maybe that's how we cover that. I'm okay
Okay.
with it.
Are
Yeah,
you okay?
I'm okay with it.
All right, then, may I have a motion then to,
Proceed.
yeah, proceed, with the,
Question?
with the revisions?
Right, with the amending of the
Yeah.
survey.
Yeah,
I'll
please,
make that
the,
motion.
the revisions that we discussed on the August sixth, 2019 Planning Commission meeting.
Okay, Wayne made motion to accept the amendments to the previous survey.
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Review, discuss, act on the final steps for board decision on the fire district participation. Decide on whether we should have an extra meeting with full committee, extra for discussion, and the time frame exactly for a decision. So we have a meeting on the 12th, then the 10th of September. We can go after that a week or so if we need to. What do you need left as far as your meetings, Wayne, the committee?
I have the 22nd of this month and the 5th of September is my
Okay.
last two meetings.
So then if we have our board meeting on the 12th, that's a week later. Do you wanna have a meeting in between there with just the committee? You guys wanna have a meeting? I mean, we should, before we, or right after, after our board meeting, have a meeting with the committee? Cause we're gonna have to have a meeting with the committee and then decide, make a decision on either the 12th or a week after that or something.
We're gonna have to have
Decide.
have a meeting with Chippewa and Eau Claire too, to make sure we get 100% that we got coverage. Cause if we don't have the coverage, I think we will without any problem, but if we didn't, we're dead in the water, basically.
Yeah,
They seem interested to me.
yeah.
Very friendly, very open, willing to sit down and talk to us.
And we'll invite them to our meeting at the end, before we vote, the board meeting. So we can invite them to it, so we can ask them.
Hey Alice, at the next meeting or something, could you give me the information you have there?
On what?
Each must have been a handout to everybody, so Ken's got the same thing.
I printed, so you, which
Well,
one's from the comp
it's
plan?
on your email.
I sent
okay.
everything
Oh,
to
okay,
you,
okay.
if you can have someone help.
Yep,
you.
no, I can get in there.
Oh, yeah, oh, I've sent everything to you.
Yeah, everything's on.
Everything to you.
Oh, okay.
You got everything everybody else got, bud.
Okay, thank you.
So our town meeting's at 10, so you're thinking you should meet, look at it, 10 to 10. You wouldn't want to meet with the committee after a town board meeting. This meeting would go from
No,
10 to 10.
no, that's what I'm
We'd be
saying.
fried.
Well, and the last meeting is on the 5th.
Right,
So we probably should go, well, this is a fire board, we
Right.
should probably go either the 12th or the 16th or something to have a meeting for the town board with the fire. Let's see, they may not wanna go to that. Or do you want, well, a week later, the committee,
why don't we do it on the 19th?
do that on the 19th?
Or why not a Wednesday night?
Because
Don't you
we-
like Wednesday nights?
That's fine.
I don't care.
When would you wanna do that?
Here.
To have a meeting
Yeah,
with
that's your
the-
last meeting.
with
Would
the
you
commission?
wanna do it like the 12th?
Cause then we have to have
or would
one
you
more
wanna
after
do it-
that.
Oh, we do?
Are we,
You gotta have two
I'm
of them.
just, are we better to do it sooner? What if we other questions come up or
You wanna do it like
something
the
during
16th
that and
and
we
the
need to get some
23rd?
other answers, are we gonna run out of road?
Well, we don't wanna, we
You know?
wanna make sure we don't do that. That's why I
Are we,
wanted to
are
do
we
this.
better off to maybe meet with them in August here? Just, I don't know, I'm just,
Yeah, we can. I mean, that's fine. If the committee is ready to meet, I mean, that's fine with me. You've got 2 more. Maybe after the 22nd, you'll know whether we can meet. I don't know. Or should we just meet twice more? You had it planned to meet twice more.
Right?
Or do we meet on the night of the 5th with the maybe we do
well, that's
that.
another option.
Oh, that would be a good idea.
We just come to your meeting?
Yeah,
Or just come to, have everybody meet here. We can just have the meeting here
Yeah,
for
we could
that
do that on
last
the
one.
5th.
And the
Yeah.
town board can have a meeting on the 5th. And,
What is the
and
fifth?
get all the information from
the
the
5th is
committee.
a Thursday night.
Get all the information from the committee on that night, and then we can have it on the 12th, on the 10th. We would meet on the 5th, and then on the 10th, we can make a decision at the regular town board meeting.
Yeah, I'm just thinking it'd be good, just in case any other questions come up or
Right.
whatnot, we need to get some answers. We still got a couple days to
Yeah,
get some answers before
And then if we
we.
needed to have one more meeting, we could meet on the 16th or 17th
Right.
or 18th or something, and still have time to finish
Okay,
it.
so on the 5th, you want Wayne to have it here and you want
Yeah,
us
yeah,
here.
how about that? Does that sound reasonable?
The September
Sure.
5th is a Thursday. Can everybody do that? Yeah, okay. At the town hall here?
Yep.
Yep. So September 5th, town hall.
What time?
Oh, what time? 7 o'clock?
7 o'clock.
Yeah, 7
And that's
o'clock.
what time you've been meeting?
Yeah.
Wayne,
that's
7 o'clock, so
7
everybody's
o'clock.
used to the time, so that's good.
Town hall. So it's gonna be actually a town board meeting with just that on the agenda.
Correct. So we'll put out an agenda for that, Scott. We'll have to do an agenda for that.
And our regular town board will be the 10th.
Me do the agenda or you do the?
Well,
agenda?
I'll put it together
And then
but,
we,
yeah,
then
we
we
don't have
meet
to
here.
agendize.
And then we got the rest of the time if we
Right.
have to meet. Okay,
Right.
good.
That sounds reasonable.
Yeah,
Well, what do
It's
you
a
want,
big decision, it's important.
right, what do you want me to do as far as, setting something up to meet with the Eau Claire and Chippewa? They wanna sit
Well,
down and hash
yeah,
that
what
out?
we'd want to do is meet with them on the 10th,
On the 10th,
at our regular board meeting,
have them come in here,
yeah.
okay?
The committee wants to meet with them, part of what the committee's looking at is price, cost, so the
Well,
committee wants numbers from them before they.
I did kinda get a round
Well, I know,
round figure of $25 from Chippewa.
they're gonna say, we want hard numbers.
Right, and we do too. They wanted me to send them a letter of proposal for that, if, you know, the area, approximately what we feel we're gonna end up paying, and so forth. So, we're,
You have enough time to do that, that's the question.
well, that's why
Two
I'd
meetings.
have, I would have to email them. I can email them the letter tomorrow, because I'm saying in the letter, I'm requesting that, that we're on a time frame that, to meet as soon as possible with them.
Yeah.
And
And if they could meet on September 5th, that would be really good.
with us,
Come to the meeting with the board and everybody, be done with it. That'd be the best way to do that if we can, then the committee can make their recommendations right there, and then on the 10th, we can take a look at it, and then on the 10th, we can vote. Everybody will have all the information, have a few days to decide what they think about it, and we can discuss it on the 10th and make a decision.
okay?
It's
So-
important,
That
it's
sounds
big.
good.
You say go ahead, you're saying it's okay if I send all those letters
Yeah.
and just put the
Yep.
date on there, we'd like to meet them, have them come to our meeting on the 5th?
Yep,
Here at the
I think
town
so.
hall now.
At the town
remember?
hall, correct.
Yeah, it's
right,
gonna be at the town hall.
Okay,
September 5th.
that's what I'll do then.
7 o'clock,
Okay,
okay,
all righty.
okay.
Any other potential agenda items
Yes.
that the board needs?
Well, we're gonna talk to a lawyer about Facebook page.
Yeah,
And then, we gotta do we have to have a closed session that night on Willie Nelson?
yeah, and I wrote that down
You
here.
got that? Okay. I have something that two people have brought up something to me, and I don't know if it
Okay.
has to be on the agenda or not, but it's about going so fast down Elk Creek Road
Pocket
on
brains?
20th. The 45 miles an hour, they were wondering
Pocket
if, say,
brains?
another set of 45 mile an hour signs could be set up or something. Or otherwise, get a cop and sitting there, because everybody's flying by at 60, 70 miles an hour on Elk Creek Road.
Well, on 20th there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had several people complain to me.
I was wondering
I've had-
if we needed, I don't know if that needs to be on the agenda, or if I can just bring it up next month under public comment.
We aren't going to be able to do a whole lot about it, but let me talk to the sheriff. I'll call the sheriff and,
I mean, they're going at
And-
60, 70 miles an hour on there. Someone I
Easy.
know has children on there, and she asked me about it, and she just said, my goodness, my kids.
I've had 3-4 people on that road complain about it.
yeah, and we've always had trouble with that.
They said it's like a drag strip.
And then what about,
New blacktop will do
what
that.
about, I know, oh, and they're putting fresh oil on it today, I saw. What about, selling the, fence for that?
Oh.
You wanna put that on the agenda? or
Yeah,
not,
let's
Joe?
put that on the agenda.
Well, you talk to him about it, I'm just reminding you.
Scott Morris has offered, he got rid of his chicken, and he's got these fencing panels that are like 10, 13 feet long, like the ones they use on construction sites, not the cheap dog
You
kennel
know
ones.
which one, by the
And he's got enough to go, was it 130 or 150 feet? And he came down to $650 for them. I think there's 10 or 13 panels. He said he'd even be willing to take them down and help the guys put them up. All we
Or
basically,
at
the recycling center, to keep that stuff from blowing
That has to
around.
be on the agenda, correct? Yes, it
And,
would, because it's spending money.
You know, it'd maybe cost you another $100 in post or pipes for post, and you'd have a pretty well,
yeah, let's put that on.
All right, I got that for the agenda.
I mean, that's,
What do we
that's cheaper than what we bidded before and be able to hit the
Yeah.
same area
Recycling center
for
fence.
Yeah.
$750.
What,
Okay.
okay, and I just have to say this too, I don't know if we wanted, do we wanna discuss, getting extra dumpsters? I'm just telling you now, I was at the recycling center on Wednesday, Roger's not here, he's gone home. And, at 2:30, Rich was turning people away, there was nowhere to put anything in the, plastic empty.
That was on
He's
Wednesday?
not running the skid steer though.
But I'm telling you.
But they can't
But
push down
as
the
a town board
plastic.
member, I was there and people were very angry. They came in at 2:30 and 2:45, and they said, we can't come back when, this was Saturday, excuse me, this was Saturday. And he was telling them to come back Wednesday, and they work on Wednesdays, they're off on Saturday, and they were really, I'm just saying, they were angry because they couldn't get anything anymore.
So
Well,
the question was that it wasn't being compacted.
Yeah, he's not running
Yeah,
the
he's
skid
not
steer to
running the
crush
skid
it.
steer.
He's not
backing
pushing
it
down the
He's
cardboard.
not pushing the
If you
cardboard.
push down
So
the
I don't know
cardboard,
what, I mean,
we might be able to
I
get
don't,
it in
yeah,
there.
I don't know what the solution is, but I do know that people weren't very happy about having to come back on Wednesday, and they couldn't because it worked.
I told him, I said, you know, if people
that
get
an
mad, I said, why don't
agenda
you just
item or
have them throw it in
Oh, it is?
the big dumpster,
What's
you
the
know?
agenda item gonna be
So
then?
that's what he did the last half hour.
Discuss how we're going to keep them dumpsters compacted.
Yes,
Or get more dumpsters,
Yes.
one or the other.
Bigger
Yeah.
ones, yeah.
Or
We've
larger
talked about
ones.
that before, and we gotta have them running the skid steer.
An additional dumpster is gonna cost the town $5,000 a year.
Yeah.
If they dump it, but if it isn't
Wow.
anything in it.
It's all gonna be pick it up full or empty.
I didn't know it was that.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. If it's sitting there,
I
you're gonna
just
get
know on
charged.
Saturday, people weren't happy.
Yeah, well, we need to go through that and decide what we're gonna do, if we
Okay.
gotta have somebody.
It's
Somebody
been
needs to
nuts
be
as
able
far
to-
as
They need to be
plastic
able
and,
to
I
compact
don't know where all this,
at the while they're there.
one thing they need to do too is we gotta stress it, maybe put a
Somebody
sign,
new.
is to crush their cardboard or to flatten their cardboard. Rich pulled out 8 boxes out of there the other day where people just threw them in there, you know, and they're empty. So he pulled them out, took his knife out and cut them and flattened them out and threw them in there. So,
All right, motion to adjourn. I'll make a motion. Anybody
Motion
say?
made to adjourn,
I'll second it. Okay.
all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
That didn't take long.
No.
Gotta savor my meetings. The first one hardly gets out of there.
They don't usually run till after 10 o'clock, so.
No,
That's fine.
this is the